In this session, I'm going to show you the anatomy of a patch and the whole flow. So once you've got used to that, you should be able to fly around Iris. And so the first thing I'd like to do is I'm going to bring a sample into sample 1. And we're going to go in samples. I'm going to find myself a nice synth instrument. Something from perhaps a CS80. Get myself some CS80 strings in there. Double click on that. And that brings that in. And that's just basically a sample playing back now. But of course then you can come in and start doing some more magic with it. Put a paintbrush in. Quite organic, that. Now we can build up to 3 of those up, 3 layers. Then we can add a sub, and to add a sub it's different from the other 3 in that you just click the background and then you have these default sub waveforms that you can work with. So I'd like to sine. A sine is useful because filters don't actually affect how the sine sounds harmonically. It just makes it quieter or louder. They're very good for sub bass. So let's see. I like that. So we've got 2 sound sources in now, so that's the first part of the equation. Now the next part of the equation is the amp envelopes, and there are 2 places we can work on them. I'm going to go to the mix window so we can see things together here, and I'd like this sound to have a bit more decay at the end. So we add some release time. That's the time it takes for the sound to disappear at the end. It's now hanging around. Just going to bring down the gain of the sub so it's less in my face. And I'm also, what I'm going to do first is going to just basically for a second on the sub, we're going to mute the sub, come back to the mix window. I'm going to build the envelope on this one and add some effects in. We're going to use send effects. Add some chorus. Add some reverb. It's giving it some space. We had some delay, and as those top parts come in, it's going to give it a bit of a sort of shimmer. Yeah, that's short, that attack time. And let's put the sub back in. Now what I also want to do as well is I want the sub to have the same envelope as the amp here. So what I can do is I can click on there, which is the link, and there as well. If I now move this envelope, it now modifies the envelope here to match. So that's the second thing we can do. Now the next thing in the chain as well, we add some LFO in, but it's not going to be pitch based, it's going to be amp based. It's another layer of movement. Now we're going to come to the master section and we're going to do some other work. We're going to push up the master loudness, which is going to just give us some more energy without it distorting. That's a limiter. So that's nice. And now we can add a filter in as well. I want a nice warm filter with some resin to give it some character. What I want it to do as well is I want that cutoff to open up over time. So the next part of the anatomy is we add an envelope to it, and that means that over time that filter is going to change its character. You can hear it opening up. Now, the one thing about filters that some people forget sometimes is this part, especially the attack, has to be later if you want it to actually have any effect than the attack point here. So this is 180.180 seconds. That's going to be 4, so that works. If it was shorter, it would happen and have no effect before the actual amp envelopes. And we just vary either the plus or minus of the filter effect. It's quite nice. Yes, I like that. Now I'm going to grow that patch a bit more now. I'm going to come to sample 2. And I'm going to come in here and we are going to find in our acoustic instruments, I'm going to find an acoustic piano and I'm going to get C3 piano and bring that in here. Let's solo that for a second. And don't forget now at the moment on the mix bus we have the filter on, so I'm going to turn that off for a second. It's quite nice. Now right now the envelope on this is independent because we haven't linked it. So now what I'm going to do is go in and use Iris for what it's best for and come into this sound and try and do some magic on the piano. Quite like that's kind of old and almost a Wurlitz quality there. Let's see how that sounds with the rest. Now don't forget the filter's now off, so put the filter back on and see how that affects the piano. So there we are. Let me just summarise that then. We've brought in 2 samples, we've added a sub in, then we've added some LFOs, and as you can see we have a matching LFO working on the string and the sub sound, but we're not having an LFO on the piano type sound. We've then used send effects as well, nothing on the piano, no need for that there, and we could either then bring the strings, in fact I'm going to bring those strings down a bit. Then we've added a master loudness on. We've used send effects rather than master effects, and I'll tell you the difference in a later session. We've then added a filter with a filter envelope, and there we've created a patch. Hope that's been a help in explaining the signal flow and the way that all the parts work together to create an Iris patch. Thanks for watching.